This club's about winning trophies. I'm inexperienced in a lot of those things.
3-0. Sorry for smiling there.
Almost lost the cup and you win it. The new European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
And we're bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Woo, sir. How we doing? Manchester United are back in business on the weekend. We're headed down to Kenilworth Road, mighty Luton, one of the most English away grounds in the league. I'm looking forward to that game. Big opportunity for us to continue to pick up points on this little upturn in form. I'm not going to call it a run yet, but either way, a lot of the big news comings and goings of Manchester United at the moment are front office dealings. Sir Jim gets the green light from the FA, one step closer to full ratification. Like you said, we're still waiting for the SEC, so it's not completely done and dusted, but it's getting closer, the right kind of movement. And with that, we're starting to see movement where, you know, you and I, myself especially, have been really looking for movement, and that's front office. We got Omar Barada in, huge deal. We got the board in, huge deal. But it's about technical director and then extension of that, head of recruitment. And the one, the only, the name we've been looking for is Dan Ashworth. And in the last day or two, we're finally seeing real momentum. We've been attracted to him for weeks to months, basically, I think, since the Christmas Eve surprise. But now you're hearing from Ornstein, you're hearing from Fabrizio, you're hearing that he's interested. We're hearing prices, right? Buyout amounts, £6 million, £10 million. But either way, a lot of interesting things happening at Manchester United at the moment. We also have football games to win. How we doing?
We're doing great. When Danny Ashworth is being linked, Romano retweeted a tweet about him coming to United. Then it kind of broke today, heating up online. And we're going to read through the tea leaves for you here on the podcast. Essentially, United and Ashworth have been talking for a while.
Yep.
This is actually how you actually use the press. And when it starts punching up through Romano, you know it's real. So United, Ashworth, he wants to come. It's clear. I knew he wanted to come as soon as the bad news broke.
Which
about
bad news?
The Newcastle owner. I think he has a kidnapping, all this stuff, right? The head of the PIF. Who could have thought?
His Excellency.
Who could have thought Bonsai OC, would have some issues? And as soon as those issues come out, writing's on the wall for a guy like Ashworth. I mean, this guy came from Brighton, the FA, great background. He goes to Newcastle. Obviously, he's done a great job there as well. But you look at Manchester United, it's number one in the country, number one in the world. And for him to rebuild United from the last 10 years, save us from the Antonys, this would be the creme de la creme for his career. The number one. If he could do it for United, he'd be a legend, and all this drama at Newcastle is going to be sorted, so might as well move on. And I knew as soon as that broke, he was a gettable guy, and it came down to Ineos, and they did great with Barada. Now they're on to Ashworth. We're pumped. Obviously, Newcastle is going to play hardball in the negotiation, but when Ashworth wants United, it's clear. I think it's only a matter of time.
No, 100%. The tone and the tenor have changed dramatically in the last few weeks, from United want him to Ashworth is very open to the move to now Newcastle fear losing him. And then you're getting prices. You're hearing about, periods of time where he can't do any other work. And at the same time, I think the reason he's excited, beyond the reasons you mentioned, I mean, Manchester United's an elite sporting asset, one of the biggest clubs in the world, but also one of the biggest sports brands anywhere, and one of the best, even though we're in the mud at the moment from a sporting perspective, and some of the strategic decisions we've made around stadium reinvestment and re-up in Adidas have not put us back at the pinnacle. This is still Manchester United, and the opportunity to come in with a real operation that wants to turn things around, hire the best and brightest. Now, if Ashworth had gotten approached 24 months ago by Ed Woody and Avram and Joel Glazer. And hey, you want to be our Rangnick? You want to be like our Patsy and we're going to pretend like we're making progress? I'm not so sure he would come, but Omar Barada is a statement. Jean-Claude Blanc is a statement. And Ashworth knows that he's getting behind real wood. This is a real team he's putting together. And at the end of the day, we've talked about this for fucking years. The difference between winning, losing, and winning EFL Cups and Europa Leagues and winning Champions League and EPL finals, EPL championships, is the fact of having a competent front office that can build a squad, that can have continuity from the academy to the first team, that knows how to hire managers and get good value in the transfer market. And we haven't had that since Gill and Fergie left. And look like we're finally building a, dare I say, world-class front office worthy of Manchester United.
Looking forward to our first EFL Finals win. Quick PSA for the podcast. If you like the American Red Devils and the new competitions we invent on this podcast, you know where to find us. It's Patreon, patreon.com/American Red Devils. We are 100% fan-backed, 100% fan-supported. That's unique in this era. Most people are hawking at things you do not need, breaking up good content with ads. We don't do that. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/American Devils. Tons of benefits. Behind-the-scenes podcast every single month. Just dropped our January Patreon pod. It is spicy. It is hot. Me and Alex go toe-to-toe about the Dutchman. It's great content. Please check it out. Support independent fan content. It's the way to go in 2024. Sorry, I can't believe it. We've been doing this podcast for 7 years. Since Jose Mourinho was the manager.
One EPL final. What was the competition I just made?
EPL finals. It's like, the Stanley Cup finals, but for the English Premier League that hasn't been invented yet.
When Todd Bowley has his way,
yes,
they're going to do a playoff system, and there'll be a finalist of the EPL. Obviously, let's talk about the Champions League and winning the Premier League. So apologies, but like you said, join Patreon. All kinds of benefits. You get to listen to an extra special podcast once a month. Lots of other stuff, like you said, sir. Check out our blog. Buy some merch at American Red Devils /store. If I remember.
Store. Store. This guy.
What's the name of our podcast, bro?
Hey, this guy's working in the warehouse. He doesn't manage the website, so it's American Red Devils .store.
What's our name again?
All the orders go to this guy. He might find
your in shifts.
When you buy something, he might get your address right and ship it to you. But regardless, everything you buy supports the pod. Sir, tell them about iTunes reviews.
I'll do my best. iTunes reviews or 5-star reviews of the American Devils podcast, wherever you listen. It's a great way to support the pod. It helps us get found organically by other top American Red Devil and Manchester United Muppets like yourself. And even better, we're giving away free merch. All you got to do is write a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify and send a screenshot of that review to AmericanRedDevils@gmail.com with your mailing address, and I'll personally pack and ship some free ARD gear, send it right to your door anywhere in the world. Here's a great 5-star review from Max Health Joey. Best United podcast. Love the biased fan take. The boys are hilarious and they know what they're talking about. Both my father and I love the podcast. Thank you, Max. Thank you to everyone writing those reviews. They go a long way.
Sir, you're all right. Shout out to Max. Shout out to his dad as well. Appreciate everyone listening and writing those reviews. Let's get into Luton Town. Let's break it down. That's right, Luton Town, the Hatters. First, Manchester United, the Red Devils, Kenilworth Road. This stadium is so jacked up, they couldn't play games in it for the first 2 months of the season. If you've seen the away ground, you're literally walking through people's living rooms to get to the away stand. It's truly a sight to behold. Why are they the Hatters? They used to make hats in that town, sir. Not that complicated when it comes to those English nicknames. We're talking kickoff Sunday, February 18th, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Lifetime versus the Hatters. 31-7 drawn, 4 lost. Whew. First time we played them, 1897, Newton Heath versus Luton Town. We lost in the second division, 2-1. Last 5, 1-4. Drawn 1. Last time we played them, we won. 1-0.
Skin of our teeth. Hatters. You like about English football and all the different divisions is that the farther you go down, the crazier the nicknames are. So I really appreciate that. And like you said, historical association of the town with hat making trade, which I would imagine has diminished a little bit since 1885. I don't think they're banging out as many hats as they used to.
Last 5 coming in. They beat Bolton in the FA Cup third round, beat Everton 2-1,
Smoked Brighton.
crushed Brighton 4-0, drew Newcastle 4-4. They're frisky, but then they lose to Sheffield United. They're all over the shop. The 4-4 against Newcastle, they're scoring goals, but they also concede, so that's good for our attack. Everyone is in form. You got to watch out for Adebayo, 6'4", has a hell of a finish. They got Ross Barkley, former Chelsea player, former Everton player.
He's having a moment.
He went clubbing quite a bit. I think he's out of the clubs now. I think he's playing decently well in the middle of the park.
Last chance ball. I mean, they got Ted Menji, our old center back. They have Heath Chong. So a bunch of former United Academy players. They're gonna be frisky, dude. At home, they small pitch. They're gonna be highly physical. They're gonna sit back. They're gonna absorb pressure, and they have a lot of speed. So, we've seen this movie before. Can we break down a low block, sir? What do you think?
They might come for it at home. Getting the scouting report from Adam. Shout out to Adam, big ARD
Appreciate
fan. Strategy-wise, manager Rob Edwards stated this season in a low block and long ball style. I mean, they have that 6'4" striker. But since then, they've opened things up. They've had a good run of form, and the Hatters have been intensely counter-pressing, similar to Manchester United. And this was pivotal in their recent 4-0 drubbing of Brighton, when it looked as if the Hatters were playing with 13 men. Players to watch, like we mentioned, Ross Barkley. Everyone should know that name. And Adebayo has been hot. This is the type of striker where Manchester United needs someone like this, a nobody, 6'4", coming out, scoring 7 in his last 9 Premier League matches. And then obviously Menji and Heath Chong, you know them as former United players. Luton have had a decent run of form, keeping them just above the relegation zone, so don't get it straight. They are fighting for their lives. They are going to be scrappy. And we did beat them 1-0 in a nervy game where we didn't take our chances, but got bailed out by a late winner. And that time it was Victor Lindelof who poached a goal on a corner. So, it might take a lucky goal, but let's hope that we can go away. It's going to be a tough stadium, an old English stadium with the Hatters, and kind of kick up some dust, score some goals, get a clean sheet.
Classic trap game, after United were lucky, I think, to get through all 3 points at Villa Park a couple days ago. This is going to be a tough match. They're going to be playing at home. Like you said, they're frisky. They're not in the relegation zone. They're right above it, but they've proven dangerous, right? Like beating up Brighton, scoring 4 against Newcastle. So United need to go in there and look to control possession. They need to be looking to create chances, play the ball quickly. And the big thing is not get caught with their pants down trying to play at the back, i.e. United. That's where we've seen it. They're going to be pressing us. So it's a big opportunity for United to continue the momentum or shoot ourselves in the foot and lose all said momentum. So important game, a must win. They're all must wins now as we try to chase into the Champions League. But to be honest, an opponent, given how strong our squad is at the moment, how few injuries we have, that we have to be dominating possession, creating out, as you say, out XGing their XG, and most importantly, taking our chances. And if we do that, we should be in a position to win.
Adam's take, he says both United and Luton play high-risk football. This game can be dangerous for those people with cardiac health issues. Don't worry, I have my beta blockers and my blood pressure medication, so I'm ready to go. And, of course, United should come back with all 3 points from Kenilworth Road, but it looked like they did against Brighton. We could be in store for a shock. I think this is one where they could show up and just dominate. They could show up and lay an egg. Luton have played some nutty ones recently, and this should be one as well. Adam says 3-2 United win. Sir, let's get into those injuries for Manchester United. Those are kind of sneaking up on us. Martinez out. Martial surgery. Malacia, not sure he plays for the club anymore. Luke Shaw, obviously we haven't got a detailed update on that injury, but shouldn't be anything serious. Mason Mount is allergic to shit football, so he will not play this season. Waiting for next. And Wan-Bissaka, hard to say. What do you think about those injuries? What is your
I
starting
like
lineup?
that Mason Mount excuse for you jinxing him with your jersey buy. But the allergy,
not jinxed.
the
He's
allergy
not
to shit
jinxed.
football. That's a good one. That's a new one for me.
Okay, yeah, has saved us.
Your boy. Here we go. Here's what I got. Onana in that, Delo, Varane, Maguire. Now, Shaw's fit. Shaw's playing. The one that I thought that could be cheeky is if he's not fit, I think he's going to push Delo to left back and play Kambwala at right back because of his physicality, his size, and I think Lindelof would just get the shit muscled out of him in this game. And then everyone in front of them is easy peasy. As long as no one gets injured in training, there will be no changes to the front six. Casemiro, Kobe, Bruno, Rashford on the left, Hoyland up front, Garnacho on the right. So what do you got?
You're good to see your boy Lindelof. Onana in net. You got to get Delo, Varane, Maguire, Lindelof. Oh man, and then it's gonna be Casemiro, Kobe, Bruno, Rashford, Hoyland, Garnacho. United's got to win. United's got to win with that lineup, sir.
Absolutely, and we're finally starting to see some consistency in the 11. I know we've had injuries in defense, losing Martinez, losing Shaw again, but at least the front six have been consistent for the last 6-8 games, and I think that's helping the team.
Here comes the money, 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 money.
Dollar, what we got on the bookies?
So I was looking at the line for the EFL final in a couple of weeks. It's not dissimilar. Luton plus 310 at home. The draw plus 300. That could be a cheeky one. And minus 130 for United on the road, Kenilworth Road. So given the odds, what is your score prediction?
That 310 plus 310 for Luton. That's a good
tasty
bet, I'll tell you. That's a good bet. United coming in. We got the form, but we kind of got unlucky. When you look at the stat sheet, the wins, the results have looked good, but the stats have gone against us. We don't play well away, usually, despite the Villa win. They did edge us on the stat sheet, though, and Luton, they're going to be all over us. The Adebayo, I've been watching some of these games. He's a hell of a striker. He's in form. That's not who you want to play away. And once Kenilworth Road gets rocking, wet noodles start noodling. Oh, this is bend don't break stuff for Manchester United. I'm going to say it's sloppy 2-2. Probably deserve the win. I think we're going to get some form. I think you're going to see United start playing well because the good vibes come in. You win some games, start playing Don't Touch This in the locker room, get the MC Hammer going. Vanilla Ice, start getting the swag, and then you start playing well,
Vanilla Ice. He gives you swag. You call
what I'm saying. You start
prediction.
getting some vibes in the locker room, and then all of a sudden you start playing well. So I think we're about, you get 3 on the trot. You win Luton. I mean, we're not in the race for top 4 yet. Luton's a statement.
Luton keeps you in the race.
Luton's a statement, and Fulham at home. I mean, the thing about this is this is the extra oomph behind this match. If we have some serious dogs in this team, it's always on to Cincinnati. You're not looking at the next game, but you got Fulham at home. That's easy 3, and you can't slip up here. So this is a big spot if you want to be coming in, trying to make a run for top 4.
And I think the Villa win, because I did think we stole one there, that put us in the race for top 4. This keeps us in the race for top 4. So we have to win this game, keep it frisky, like you said, and then you get a Fulham at home who are not an easy team, right? They're not the Fulham of yesteryear. They're a strong team. They can come and bite you in the ass. But you got to get a win. I do think I can see a draw as well. I can see them coming out hot.
What do you got?
I was going to say 2-2 or 3-3. Like, we come back, we fight back, maybe McTominay, brace off the bench.
So at 3-3, what do you got? You going to predict something here?
Yes, call 3-3. It's called a draw. We each get a point.
3-3.
Plus 300.
3-3. Okay. Betting the draw. Let's get into the news. Just trying to pin you down. Kind of waffling on the
3-3. That's both.
You're like that
score the
defensive
same
line
amount
for
of goals.
Manchester. I don't know.
Tell you what, if you put Lindelof at left back, we're going to give him at least 3
We're gonna
goals.
get cooked.
He came in against Villa, got cooked like within 90 seconds. Within 90 seconds,
extra crispy.
he gave the ball away and then immediately got beat by their right winger. So,
I didn't order my chicken that extra crispy at KFC. I mean, this man was cooked,
he was.
burnt.
He was. What do you got?
Speaking of cooked,
Who's cooked?
we're making a cake, and Ratcliffe's 25% stake is part of that. And it's been approved by the FA. This is a good thing. The FA has to approve any new ownership coming in. You remember the big hubbub with the Newcastle because they were illegally Saudis, the PIF, right?
No relation, sir. Come on, they're completely, completely.
Of course.
agnostic.
Well,
That's the best part.
the issue is
not
like,
related at all. Of course,
you know. Well, because BN Sport in Qatar bought the rights to the Premier League, a big issue with it was that because the Saudis don't like Qatar, they were illegally giving the broadcast to their population, and so that was like a whole issue with the Premier League. Regardless, owners got to go through this approval process. Sir Jim, vanilla ice cream. It was easy. He made it through. He doesn't have any historical human rights abuses that they had to dig into. So this was a real easy one. Again, shout out to Sir Jim for, being a stand-up dude, getting through this process. And like we said, we read the announcement of the deal. When you announce a deal, usually 6 to 9 months to close it. There's a bunch of paperwork, diligence that goes into it. Think lawyers in a room, double checking everything that was presented, that was put together during the deal. And then they have the big tender offer that will be a part of closing the transaction. So you would think of this FA approval being on the way to getting it closed. But at this point, it's really a formality. I mean, it's been approved. The Glazers are on board. The lawyers are working on the paperwork. And then this is another key milestone on the way to the deal being closed, hopefully before the summer and the big transfer business. But Sir Jim's still in there. He's still working with the Glazers. It's almost like he's acting like the deal is closed. It's really a formality, right? Right now, they are in partnership working together. So when you see Barada, that's Jim. When you see the Ashworth move, that's Jim. So it's not like he can't do anything until they close the deal. It's more of a formality.
And explain what a tender offer is to the layman, sir. It's just like a straightforward share sale, right? Of existing
Purchase
sale.
Yes.
From existing shareholders to ratify the 25%.
Yes. So he's buying a portion of the 25% stake from the Glazers directly, from the Class A shares and then the Class B shares. Obviously the ones traded on the New York Stock Exchange, 12.5% will come there. He'll purchase them at the strike price of the deal, and then he'll buy the 10x voting shares from the Glazers at the same time. Obviously with the Glazers, it's really straightforward because he's just going to buy X amount from each Glazer. That's straightforward. But when you go to the stock market, not every shareholder will want to sell. So it's sort of a first come, first serve basis on who can actually sell their shares. So they'll scoop that up from the market, and then that tender offer will be met, and that will clear, and then Sir Jim will own and close with cash, right? The cash will then be wired to the Glazers, and it'll be paid to the shareholders, and then he will actually hold the 25%. So right now, the bid and offer for the 25% has been accepted. It's there. It's just the mechanism to actually transfer the money and then have him own the shares has not happened, but it's just pending all this legal work.
No, appreciate the additional insight for everyone involved. And this is great. Like you said, they're already acting like they're running the show. The roles and responsibilities of Radcliffe and his team have already expanded, right? They've moved beyond just football operations. Glazers have basically blessed him to be in charge of all business operations, which, based on their track record, makes total sense. And most importantly, everything should be done and dusted ahead of the summer transfer window. It's going to be a very big transfer window for Manchester United, at least around selling. I don't think there's going to be these like over-the-top 90, 80, $70 million buys like we have done recently, which have just papered over the cracks and oftentimes not work out. He's got his CEO in. And the next big story is the next most important person at Manchester United, as it relates to front office, and that's the technical director, a role that we basically have never had ever because, in some ways it's like a 10-year-old role. It was never always there like 30 years ago. Even Gil was like the CEO, but now technical director is a de facto that all top clubs have. We just had like a fake DOF
it's
for 2
like
years.
Director of football, sporting director. I don't know, technical director.
It's the new
keep
title.
saying technical director, but that's not the title that he's being associated with.
Is it not?
Director of football, sporting director, not
I've
technical
heard like
director.
three
right?
different.
Like,
I've
there
heard
are
like three different titles,
but you know,
same but different. Tomato.
yes, I would say director of football is probably like the classic position that he's going to come in, and you know, when you look at Sir Jim, the reason why is like the announcement of the original deal has all the terms. That's like it. That's the deal. They agreed to that deal, and then so him coming in now helping them clean up shop is like hire these guys is like not an issue, right? So it's the idea of like closing the actual shares. That's a lawyer.
Regulatory.
Exactly. It's like a check the box. Like they verified the money's there. It's like everything's good to go, and so he's just operating the club like he has owns the shares. So there's no like this whole like formal approval is just parallel to him actually being there. Like, but he's actually at Manchester United as if he owns the 25% right now, working with the Glazers. And like you said, Ashworth coming in. Yeah, I don't know, technical director,
Whatever.
sporting director. Like, you keep saying
It doesn't
technical.
matter.
I think technical sounds junior. I'm trying to be like, give Ashworth a bigger title.
I had heard that elsewhere in relation to like Liverpool's guy as technical director. It doesn't matter. I think at the end of the day, it's like the head honcho underneath the CEO that oversees
Big dog. We're
the
going to
big
call him the
dog.
big dog
The big-
director.
the big heavy that oversees everything football
like
and
technical
sporting.
sounds like small, like technical. Like it's very technical.
Well, like because we always
it doesn't
heard,
do
like,
a lot. 'Cause
head
he's
of
technical.
recruitment, you know, like that's the guy Paul Mitchell that everyone's excited about. He works underneath DOF director, you know, whatever. You're confusing me now. Anyway, Dan Ashworth is the guy we've been attached to for a long time. We're moving forward. What the fuck are you pointing at, bro?
I'm just
Dan
trying to-
Ashworth. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Sir,
it doesn't
sir,
matter what they call him.
Focus on the pod.
He's gonna be
Focus
the-
on this guy.
focus on the pod.
Technical director. This guy.
You are
like,
so
just-
in the weeds
he's
on
clapped up.
Downs Jr. The most important thing is acumen, experience, temperament, and roles and responsibilities. This guy is, you know, he's the one we wanted. We've talked about him for months now. He knows the English game well. He worked with the FA. He started at West Brom, went to the FA, went to Brighton, did ridiculously well from an acquisition standpoint at Brighton in terms of the value of deals he did. Moise Caicedo, Evan Ferguson, etc. Then
McAllister, bro. Come on. Like
McAllister as well, right? Just
$7 million.
I know, but all those players were less than 10 million buys.
No, but like
Then he went to Newcastle, made some good acquisitions, higher price point, right? A lot in the 30s, 40s.
Harvey
Isaac for
Barnes.
60. But dude, he has an eye for talent. He also has an eye for fixing organizational malfunction, and that's what Manchester United has. It's like there's a lot of different silos that are not working in synchrony together, and he can come in, clear things out, and he's exactly who we need. You know, he is a heavy that can match Omar Barada's heaviness. Omar Barada is as good as we could find, and I think Dan Ashworth is his equal.
Barada is like, you know, they can't be bigging up Barada just yet.
Can't
you
be
know?
big enough.
Can't
They
be
won the
bigging up
treble, bro.
Barada.
They
I mean,
won
like,
the treble. They won more than Newcastle. And
no, but
Brighton.
he wasn't the CEO, right? You know, so it's like he kind of a guy who's like around the CEO.
He
a
was
few
like the
different
DOF,
roles,
and then
you
like
know,
the
it's like
COO.
I'm just trying to like let's not night.
I'm not saying they're going to
just,
get it
like,
right away,
There's a
but
lot of hype here, but like let's get
Sir,
into the
all we
real
have is
rub
hype.
here.
All
Like
we have is hype.
let's get into the rub.
Okay, go through it.
We're getting through the
Go
rub.
through it.
Okay, let's give you the.
DOF.
We've talked about Dan Ashworth on the pod quite a bit, right? Even before we were linked, we talked about him when he went to Newcastle. That's how clued in we are here at the American Red Devils. We might sound like a bunch of morons, but when it comes to this club, we know a lot. And when he was on the block to
I know, I
leave
remember this.
Brighton,
Yeah, I know.
we were talking about it, being like, we got to get this guy. But that was under the old regime.
Who'd we get? We got
So-
Murtaugh.
The last 10 years is you saw Moyes come in with Woodward.
Yep.
And the buys were just like, what, you know, trying to get Fabregas. Like, go through the list. Trying to get Fabregas, can't get him. Mata, Fellaini,
Cruz,
here we go,
that's
like
right.
nothing, right? Sir Alex Ferguson, to be fair, did leave the club in not great condition. The one thing I could tell him was he saw the writing on the wall. I'm sure he didn't think he was going to win the league. I thought he might have to go back and kind of fix up the team, but he did leave us kind of in this aging in-between squad. And then
But
Woodward
partly-
took
but-
over,
but
right?
Glazers weren't spending money, to be fair. That's and Gill left at the same time.
Yeah, but it's not like he didn't like the Glazers and left. No, he took like an advisory role. So again, Sir Alex and the Glazers don't need to get into that. But the issue was that there was no direction above the manager as far as recruitment and building out a team. And this is sort of at the same time the cities of the world figured this out, right? They kind of came in, they bought, Robinho or Fabinho, like all these players. And like nobody worked out. They like Gareth Barry, remember that? Like City went through that whole